The language of kindness, the morning sun filtered through the frost-covered windows of Maple Street Cafe, casting golden patterns across the worn wooden floors. Sarah Chen wiped down the espresso machine with practiced care, her movements slow and deliberate. Outside, snowflakes drifted lazily through the Chicago air, settling on the shoulders of passers-by who hurried toward their Monday morning destinations. Sarah had opened the cafe 2 hours earlier, just as she did every weekday. The familiar routine brought her comfort grinding beans, arranging pastries in the display case, adjusting the temperature just right. At 28, she had worked at Maple Street Cafe for 6 years, ever since she'd moved to America from Taiwan. The cafe wasn't glamorous, but it was hers in a way. She knew every crack in the ceiling, every squeak in the floorboards. The morning rush had ended. Only 3 customers remained, scattered among the tables, lost in their laptops and phones. Sarah returned to her spot behind the counter, appreciating these quieter moments. She pulled out her worn notebook, the one where she practiced languages. Spanish on Mondays, French on Tuesdays, Arabic on Wednesdays. Learning languages had become her passion, her way of connecting with the diverse tapestry of her adopted city. The door chimed softly. A man entered, brushing snow from his dark overcoat. He was perhaps 40, with careful eyes and an air of distraction that Sarah recognized immediately. She'd seen that look before, the expression of someone carrying invisible weight on their shoulders. "Good morning," Sarah said warmly, setting down her notebook. "Welcome to Maple Street Cafe." The man approached the counter slowly, studying the menu board. His suit was expensive. Sarah could tell from the way it fit, but his tie was slightly loosened, and his hair looked like he'd been running his hands through it. "Good morning," he replied. His voice carried a faint accent Sarah couldn't quite place. "I need coffee. Something strong. Long morning already," Sarah asked gently, reaching for a cup. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Long year, actually." Sarah nodded, understanding in her silence. She prepared a double espresso with the same care she brought to everything, the machine hissing softly as dark liquid filled the cup. When she set it before him, he wrapped his hands around it as if seeking warmth beyond what the coffee could provide. He took a sip, then pulled out his phone. His expression shifted first to concentration, then to visible frustration. He tapped the screen several times, his jaw tightening. "Is everything all right?" Sarah asked. The man looked up, seeming surprised that she'd noticed. "I have a video conference in 15 minutes. Very important. But my translation app," he gestured at his phone helplessly, "it's not working. And I need to communicate with my team in São Paulo, then Paris, then Dubai, then Beijing, then Tokyo." He set the phone down with a sigh that seemed to come from somewhere deep inside him. "They're depending on me to explain our new direction, our new values. But without the translator." He trailed off, staring at his espresso. Sarah felt something stir in her chest, that instinct to help that had guided her throughout her life. "What languages do you need?" "Portuguese, French, Arabic, Mandarin, Japanese," he said, counting on his fingers. "I can handle English and German, but the others, ... He shook his head. "I should reschedule, but this meeting has taken weeks to coordinate. Everyone's already waiting." Sarah was quiet for a moment, her mind working. Then she said, simply, "I can help." The man looked at her, truly looked at her, for the first time. "I'm sorry. I speak those languages," Sarah explained, her voice calm and steady. Not perfectly, but well enough. I could translate for you, if you'd like. Disbelief crossed his face. You speak Portuguese, French, Arabic, Mandarin, and Japanese, and Spanish, and English, and Taiwanese, Hawkeye and Sarah added with a small smile. I like languages. They're like bridges, you know, between people, between worlds. The man stared at her, and Sarah saw something shift in his expression, the walls coming down, replaced by something like wonder. You would do that? For a stranger? Why not? Sarah said. You need help. I can give it. That seems simple enough. For a long moment, the man didn't speak. Then he said, My name is Marcus Hoffman. Sarah Chen, she replied, extending her hand across the counter. His handshake was firm but gentle. Sarah, I don't know what to say. This is unusually kind. Let me tell my co-worker I'm taking a break, Sarah said. You can set up your laptop at that corner table. More privacy there. 20 minutes later, Sarah sat beside Marcus as faces appeared on his laptop screen, one after another. She translated his words with careful attention, not just converting language, but preserving meaning, tone, emotion. Marcus spoke about transformation, about returning to core values, about putting people before profits. And Sarah noticed how his shoulders gradually relaxed, how his voice grew stronger with each language transition when he addressed the Beijing office in Mandarin. Sarah watched his team's faces light up with understanding. When she conveyed his message to Tokyo in Japanese, she saw nods of approval. The meeting lasted 90 minutes, and Sarah never wavered, never rushed. She gave each word the space it needed to breathe. When the last screen went dark, Marcus sat back in his chair, looking almost dazed. That was remarkable, he said quietly. You were remarkable. Sarah shrugged modestly. I just translated. No, Marcus said firmly. You did much more than that. You gave my words heart. You made them real across all those distances. He paused. May I ask you something personal? Of course. Why do you work in a cafe? With your talents, you could be happy. Sarah interrupted gently. I am happy. I love this place. I love meeting people, hearing their stories, making their mornings a little brighter. And I love languages. But I don't need them to be my career. They're my way of understanding the world, of connecting with it. Marcus was quiet, absorbing this. Then he reached into his wallet and pulled out a business card. Marcus Hoffman, CEO, Hoffman Global Industries, Sarah read. Her eyes widened slightly. She'd heard of Hoffman Global, everyone had. One of the largest international corporations in the world. I want to offer you a position, Marcus said. Head of International Communications. Name your salary. Sarah held the card carefully, feeling its weight. Then she smiled and set it down between them. That's very generous, Mr. Hoffman, but I'm going to say no. Surprise flickered across his face. No, this cafe, this neighborhood, this is my world, Sarah explained. These are the people I want to serve. Not with translations in boardrooms, but with coffee and kindness on ordinary mornings. That might sound small to you, but it doesn't feel small to me. Marcus studied her for a long moment. Then his expression transformed into something Sarah hadn't seen before, genuine smile, warm and unguarded. You just taught me something important, he said. Something I'd forgotten. Success isn't about size or scope. It's about knowing what matters to you and honoring that, wherever you are. He stood, gathering his laptop. Thank you, Sarah Chen. For the translation, yes. But more for the reminder that wisdom doesn't live only in executive offices. Sarah walked him to the door. The snow had stopped, and pale winter sun illuminated the street. Come back any time, Sarah said. The coffee's always hot. I will, Marcus promised, and something in his voice told Sarah he meant it, as he disappeared into the Chicago morning. Sarah returned to her spot behind the counter. She picked up her notebook and opened to a fresh page. Then she wrote, in 6 different languages, the same simple truth. The language that matters most is kindness. Through the window, the city moved forward with its thousands of stories. And in a small cafe on Maple Street, Sarah Chen smiled, ready for whatever the day would bring next.